How's it going, everyone? My name is Mr. Boss with the Win, and I have a really special video today, but I also have a guest with me. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell the audience what you're doing here and how you're getting on the show.
Hey everyone, it's Justin, aka Spike. I was a part of the controller model of Honor Warfighter on Fireteam Red.
Awesome. So I'm going to be doing an interview with Justin or Spikemouth, mainly because I was really interested in the show, you know, all the aspects, and we're going to try to talk about a little bit of the stuff that you guys didn't get to see on camera through the 12 or 13 episodes. So we're going to start asking some questions right now, and the first one is, I want to talk about the recruitment process. You know, how did you get on this, you know, pseudo reality show, and, you know, like, what was the process of you getting out to LA and wherever else you had to go?
Alright, so it started, let me think back, I think it was in August when I saw a couple friends, like I know Mrs. Violence and T-Squared from the first season, and they tweeted out that Bunham and Murray Productions, who created the Real World of Challenges in the first season of Controller, they were holding auditions for the second season. So I just like thought about it, and I was like, you know what the hell, like I'll just put my name in there and see what happens. So I put my name in there, you know, submitted some pictures, the application, all that stuff. And then they got back to me a few hours later and was like, hey, fill out this bigger application. Like, alright, so I filled out all that stuff, and then it was just like a slow, steady process for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, of just filling out different types of paperwork, and, you know, they didn't really tell us, or tell me at least, how I was doing in the audition process. They're like, oh yeah, it was great, all that stuff. So I was just hoping and praying that I was going to get on, you know, it looked good, and then all of a sudden I got the phone call one day, and they're like, hey, by the way, you've been chosen as one of the gamers on the controller. I was like, oh, no shit, that's awesome.
That's a pretty sweet phone call right there.
Oh, it definitely was, like, you know, for reality TV, like, I didn't think I was ever gonna do it, so I was just like, well, yeah, whatever, like, I'll put my name in, I'm not worried about it if I don't get it, so, but hearing that I got it, I was like, oh, shit, like, I'm super excited.
And if you don't mind, what were you doing at the time? You know, or were you going to school, or were you working? Like, how do you like tell your friends or your family or your coworkers, like, hey, I'm going on a reality show for a certain amount of time?
So basically, I'm a professional gaming coach for Fnatic's Halo Reach team, and at the time, Halo Reach had already stopped holding events, so MLG stopped holding events, all that stuff. So at that point, I did more sales management work for Fnatic, and I was going to like E3. I was going to all these different events to promote Fnatic, also talk to companies about sponsors and stuff like that. And then, so at that time, I wasn't really doing much. I think I was just hanging out at home, gaming, you know, getting ready for Halo 4, and then that's when I just decided to put my name in there.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. So the second question I want to talk about is, you know, talk a little bit about the fire teams, maybe more in depth with, you know, the people you got to meet. So the blue, red, green, and yellow. You know, just any information you give, funny stories, anything along that lines would be awesome.
Well, it started when I went to the airport. I live outside of Boston, so I get a flight out of Logan Airport, and I flew down to Georgia, and I met up with all the people, and I just sat in the airport for a while. Come to find out, FaZe Temper on Yellow Team happened to live, I don't know, 10 minutes away from me. I didn't even know who he was. Never heard of FaZe Clan before that. And we started talking when we got there. He's like, oh yeah, I just caught a flight from Boston. I was like, wait a minute. I was just on that flight. Where'd you come from? He's like, oh, I live in Haverhill. I was like, oh, I live 10 minutes from you. So it was pretty cool. Other than that, you know, I got to meet a lot of different people that I wouldn't normally meet because I'm not a part of the Call of Duty esports scene. So I got to meet Optic Hex, owner of Optic Gaming in Neon. That was amazing, you know, to see, you know, where he comes from and what his background's like. On top of that, XJaws, you know, he doesn't compete, but he has a big following on YouTube for Call of Duty. It was great to see how he got started and all that stuff. And on top of that, like, you know, meeting Paintball Kitty, FPS Russia, Syndicate, and Spyfox, all with different types of backgrounds, and all really known on YouTube. And I didn't know any of these people going into the show. Like, you know, as bad as it sounds, I didn't even know who FPS Russia was when I showed up.
I've had the pleasure to meet FPS Russia once, and can you confirm he's a really nice guy, but he's kind of got a thick shell to crack into. He looks really intimidating, but like if the more you get to know him, the nicer he is. Is that kind of a true statement?
Yeah, I think the intimidating part comes with the fact that every time you see him, he's practically got some sort of a gun in his hand. So standing up against a Russian with a gun, pretty intimidating, I'd say. but after a while, like, it was really cool hanging out with him. He's really funny to get to know. Like, he's just such a hilarious person, and hanging out with him on set, off set. We all went to Applebee's, and it was just awesome to see like what he was like in person. And
Yeah, you guys went to dinner every night.
well,
That-
almost every night. It was kind of like being like stuck in a hotel and waiting, to see if we could
Now,
get a ride.
did you guys live in Georgia, or when you were in Georgia to film the shooting part? Did you stay in like a hotel, anything along those lines?
Yeah, we stayed in a hotel close by. I can't really give the exact location of
Yeah, yeah, no
FPS
worries.
Rush's compound, but we did stay in a hotel close by, and it was pretty cool. It was just like a regular, Holiday Inn type hotel, and they really hooked us up there. So, and then every so often we'd go see FPS Russia, and there was a gun range close by, and I think XJaws actually went and filmed a couple videos, so that was on his
I
YouTube.
saw those. Yeah, I saw a few of those.
So I mean, it was pretty cool to see what it was like being FPS Russia and see what it was like where he lived.
So, talk a little bit about the military people. They introduced themselves in the beginning of the show. What they did, Army Rangers, or where they were on other shows. But what were some of their personalities like?
Um, you know, they acted like, it's cool because they're military guys, and I thought they were going to be like, hard asses on us. They're very intimidating.
Yeah.
But they were so funny to be around. Like, we were cracking jokes all the time. And they gave us these little camcorders to record, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. And I don't think anybody's ever going to see that because of how inappropriate it ended up being. There's no way anybody's ever going to see that footage. Like, it got so crazy. And it's weird because, you had 8 guys together, no girls, and it got really interesting.
A lot of guy talk going on.
A lot of guy talk going on, but it was hilarious being around all these guys, like seeing where everyone came from, what their background was like, especially the military guys, because my teammate John, he was a reconnaissance Marine sniper, and to know the fact that he was like, oh yeah, I used to camp out at this one location and wait there for days until they told me to take the shot. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like, I could never sit there and try.
It's a high stress job right there.
Yeah, couldn't do it. I'll just stick to the video game.
And so a lot of people were interested some of the behind the scenes, aspect of the show. FPS Russia uploaded a video where he kind of showed a little bit of behind the scenes, but I want to get it from someone who was actually there. So on the actual YouTube videos, it's really high paced. It's one contestant goes, they kind of do the interview where they talk about what they did, another contestant goes. What was the shooting like? Because, blowing up pieces of wood and shrapnel don't just disappear, and new targets don't just appear instantly. It's not a video game. So how did that go, like shooting, setting up, everything along those lines?
Well, each day for the shooting portion took about, say, 12 to 14 hours.
It's a long day.
Yeah, it's like filming scenes for the intro, filming each team shoot, setting up each station, and it was just insane. So there was a lot of sitting around for us. But I mean, they really took care of us with like food and everything, so we had really nothing to worry about except for just hang out, joke around, do whatever we wanted in the little area. So it took a long time and it got very tiring, but it was well worth it in the end. So like you'd see one shooting challenge, but that would be awesome, and then you'd wait like sometimes a couple hours until the next team goes up. So it was a lot of fun either way.
And that's got to be tough because when the first person goes, I mean, like I said in the video, it was like back to back to back to back. You all know, like, okay, green team did good here, or blue team did bad here. But sometimes teams could be waiting 2 to 3 hours before they know the results of what they're going to get to do. That's crazy in my opinion.
Well, yeah. On top of that, like they didn't tell us any time. So whatever challenges went by in the shooting challenge, we didn't know any time. So we were just kind of guessing if we were winning, second, third, fourth, whatever it may be. We had a good estimate, but we still didn't know for sure.
You go ahead. Sorry.
No, like I said, it was just we didn't know anything until the very end, practically.
Now I have to know, when in all the videos when Sark or someone goes like, "Oh, look at the results," were you guys actually seeing a highlight reel of what was going on? Because in the videos they always showed like a highlight reel, like who did bad or who was in first or whatnot. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to see the highlight reel. It was basically because, I mean, they wanted to edit this perfectly, and it looked amazing, the final product. So they would just pretend like they were showing it, but they would show the scores. That we actually saw what the scores were like. So those impressions were legit.
Real?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were legit.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If those were real or not. So anyways, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they dumbed down, like, for instance, the finale when going into the gaming portion. Like, I thought my team won because I mean I grabbed all those flags and I only dropped one, and then John did really well shooting those targets. So I thought for sure that we won, and to see that we lost by like so much time, and I was like, how is that even possible?